Okay, I want to talk about comparing and ordered integers. This is basically, so what do we know about our number system on the number line? We know that if I go from left to right, my numbers are increasing. And I mentioned this in the last video, and so I'm building on that. Okay, if I go to right to left, my numbers are decreasing. That means that regardless of which side of zero I'm on, I know that any number on the number line that is to the right of another number is greater than it. And any number to the left is less than it. So let's look at the number line. -1 is greater than -2. So let's write that down. -1 is actually greater than -2. It's greater than -2 because it's to the right of it. It's closer to 0. Okay? But so the negatives are going to be closer to 0 and the positives are going to be further away if it's increasing. Okay, so it's a little it's a somewhat counterintuitive in that the numbers we have been working on from the beginning using in our lives, when we stand at 0 and the digits get larger, okay, I go from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, the digits get larger, the amount gets larger, okay? And so it is completely the reverse in the negative numbers. As the digit gets bigger, okay, or the digit increases, just the digit, it gets further away from 0, okay, and so it is further in the hole and so less. If I owe you $5, I'm in the hole. I'm worse off. I'm further down than if I just owe you $1. Okay, but if I have $2 to the good, I'm even in a better position. But I want you to remember that the one thing that's constant on the number line is that the value of the numbers, the amount it represents, is always increasing going from left to right and is always decreasing as it goes from right to left. Okay, and your other teachers may have said something about, further away from 0 from positives, further away from 0 from positives is increasing, further away from 0 in negatives is decreasing. I'm not sure the language they used, but and both of those work, but I just want to make sure that I'm presenting it in a way that hits everyone. Okay, some of the problems you're going to do in forms are down the bottom here, these 4. And so I want to talk about them. So in one of the problems, they'll say, okay, so what number is further from -1? So let's take 2 numbers. Is -2 or 2 further? Well, -2 is 1. And +2 is 1, 2, 3. And that would be how I would be able to use the number line to make my decision. I think number lines are awesome. And if I were you, if you have any question in your mind when you do these problems, I would write a number line in your notebook, and I would work on that. This other one, so the next problem is which is further from 0? So let's take -2 or 2. Which is further from 0? They're the same, right? Because they are opposites. This goes to this way, this goes to this way, and if I would add them together, it would be 0. And I wanted to again hit that from the last video, so we're continuing to see it, because now I'm looking at a number line and I'm seeing that if they have the same digit and different signs, they are equally distant from 0. They have the same absolute value, and when I add them together, they equal 0. So just a little review from the last one, but that is also another, which is further. Some of the other problems you're going to do, they're going to say, what is halfway between? So let's look at 3, let's look at 4, and -2. So halfway between is going to be, I'm going to go the same amount. So let's go 1, 2, 1, 2, still not there, 3, 3, here it is. Okay, that's halfway between. Another way to use the number line, okay, to find out an amount. Now, if I was going to do this in just in numbers, I would say, okay, well, 1 to 4 is 3, and 1 to -2 is 3. Okay, so I can do that way. In which is further from -1, I could say, if I go from -1 to -2, I'm going to go 1 space. If I go from -1 to +2, I'm going to go 3 spaces. So I'm kind of using the number line to see, how do I move up and down that number line? How does that help me look at the relationships between the numbers? The last one is, what is the difference? Okay, so we talked about that the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem, and we're going to see that that's going to work out also here. So what if I say, what is the difference between 3 and -2? Well, the difference is that space between them. So the difference is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that difference is 5. Okay, so if I say I have 3 and I'm going to -2 and I'm finding the difference between them, it actually is subtraction and it's 5. Okay, but right now we're just going to look at it as what is the difference on the number line? How many spaces are between 3 and -2? Okay, I think we're laying the groundwork for actually getting to the computation. And so if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so you should have all of this, again, all of this written in your notebook. Remember, we talked about the fact that hearing, speaking, writing, all of those things together make a good memory rut in your brain. You want to look at the material and process it in as many different ways as possible. Okay, good job.